what I have to say, how many times I have to say it, how many records I have to drop. Contractually, you own me until I produce what you say I have to produce. So again, like May said, there's so much mud in this water in this conversation. If we could really kind of sift through and have those conversations. And I know, Daphne, you asked a very loaded question, like what do we do on the ground? For me personally, I coach and train basketball. I'm a videographer, and I actually have a nonprofit that I started based off of my own traumas. I am from Tacoma, Washington, which has 3.5 times the crime rate of the entire state of Washington. It is labeled that you are supposed to be dead or in jail by the age of 25. I am 30. I've been in a mass shooting. I used to be a DJ. My homie got killed on stage before me. 10 minutes before I got to the league, I was late. And so when you talk about just the overall impact that we have as individuals, link yourself to something. I don't care what it is, as long as it stands for positivity. Link your own individual self to something. It could be an organization, you could start a movement, a cause. I don't give a damn what it is. That's where it starts. When you have passion behind the people, all of those questions that you ask, you will find answers. My name's Coach D, and I land there.
Great, Mr.
Bravo.
Coach, let me ask you a question, Coach D. If we're mad at artists, and we're mad at hip-hop artists and rappers, then, okay, my child is 5 years old. Or a child is 5 years old, and they're rapping. Is that the age to be mad at are we mad at the 5-year-old for rapping what they hear?
So, a 5-year-old should not be subject to the explicit language in which these rappers rap.
Okay, but let's come back to what
let me answer your question.
That depends on what you let them listen to.
Let me answer your question. I know I'm not answering as directly as you would like, but I'll get there. So again, that child should not be exploited. Their ears should not be exploited to the explicit language that is being uttered. Therefore, that is not the child's problem. That is the parent's problem. Again, we have to have the discernment. I didn't listen. My first rap song was Ludacris, Throw Them Bows. I was about 12 years old. Before that, my dad was an old head. We listened to a lot of blues, a lot of old school soul music, you know? And so for me, I'm from the hood, but I didn't have that same experience of, 5 years old, rapping shit I didn't know about. And so it really comes down to, it really comes down to if that kid at 5 years old, is rapping about killing, the 5-year-old can't pick up a gun. So let's really have a genuine conversation that we're having.
Hold on.
Pick up a gun at 12.
Hold on, guys, hold on. So clarify your question, Shalom. I know. Hold on, let me give it to you. Sweet. Okay, finish the thought, but the point is that Shadow's going next, so it's not going to the room. If you wanted to wait on your question after he's done, throw it out there. But, we're trying to... Okay.
Respect my girl.
Thanks, Steph.
Let me just get my point across. Let me get you talk. I was in the middle of my sentence. I'm trying to get it finished, but I'm letting her finish.
Thanks, Daphne. It's okay. Guys, I'm finished now. But thank you. I love you. Thank you for having my back. Sometimes it's not that good, much. Go ahead, sweet.
But here's the point. Here's the point. What's the age when are we mad at the 2-year-old? Where's the age at? Is it 7? Is it 6? Is it 5? When they become a product of their environment, when is that point where we say, okay, now you're the problem? But here's my point. And when you're 1 year old, are they the problem at 1 year old? But they listening to everything that we all listen to, but their circumstances are not different. Somebody spoke about it earlier. They live in this environment. I think it was the sister last that was speaking about. These are products of an environment. And so, what I'm saying, that environment is bigger than their mama.
Do you remember?
Let's
village to raise one child.
Say what?
It takes a village to raise one child.
Yeah, we've heard the slogan. We all know the slogan. We know the slogan.
But we all step in to make a change.
We know the slogan. We know the commercial. We all know that. But we talk about
commercial. It's a reality.
And I'm hearing some people saying the solution is to get rid of all these rappers that are rapping about some of them, what's being glorified all around them. And their only way out, a lot of times, is either the rapping game,
Good evening, mister.
Or the music game, or Hollywood, or NBA, or NFL. That right there is a real mindset. Mamas know it, grandmamas know it, cousins know it, aunties know it. That if you get into one of those things I mentioned, is your way out the hood. That hasn't changed. That's been a long time coming. That's been going on for a long time. So what I'm saying is,
has been set into motion.
Exactly, I agree. And so here's my point.
But the reality is education.
I'm not mad at the 3-year-old. I'm not mad at the 4-year-old, but I do know this. They grow up into something that they see happening all around them. And I'm never going to be mad at the 4-year-old. I'm never. I'm trying to get these sentences out.
Yeah. So let's let him land without being interrupted.
That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to. Because here's my point. What I'm saying is, I'm not mad at the 2-year-old, the 3-year-old, the 4-year-old, because I understand they're born into an environment. I don't see enough people changing. So I'll never say, now that you turn 8 and you turn 9, because before you were 10, before you were 15, you were 14. Before you were 14, you were 13. And the bigger issue of where you are and what's going on in your whole environment, ain't nobody addressed. I won't say nobody. Nobody collectively. There's not a collective whole thing that has changed that. So I'll never be mad at becoming a product of your environment. Obviously, hopefully, I hope you change. And I know that I can speak for what I do every day. So what I'm talking about, all I'm saying is, with those individuals that are quick to want to throw them away and they're not the real problem because they're born into an environment that they don't control.
That's an excuse.
That's not an excuse.
Because I was born, I grew up in what? I grew up in what? Look at where it is right now. I was born into a house.
Sweet is right.
Everybody,
you guys respect me. Please respect.
Thank you. It's all right. Hold on 1 second, Ed. Hold on a second. Listen, so here's what
Enjoy
I'm
your night,
we have basically the industry, either the rappers or the consumers, in terms of the music, right? So we're gonna, I wanna make it clear so that we're making some progress.
Cheers,
I think you definitely brought up some great points about what is being observed in the child's life, growing up. Like nothing can really, that environment is everything. So we're going to put that on the side for a second and we will address it. But go ahead, Shadow, and chime in. Thank you for being patient. And
it's all good. It's all good. I just wanted to say that the environment definitely plays a part in it, but only to a certain degree. I think a lot of it too. There's all different types of factors that's going to play into it. The music, the environment. But I haven't heard anybody really talk about, the mindset, the mentality.
Boom, right there.
I grew up in all of that. I grew up in all that shit. I grew up in damn near every hood in Utah. I listened to all of this shit. I went through the gangster era, the gangster rap era, the conscious rap, all that shit. And none of it was going through. And none of it, exactly, and none of it affected me to that point. But at the same time, I know that everybody ain't got my mindset neither. Everybody wasn't raised the way I was. My brother raised in the same mama, same dad, in the same neighborhood, but he has a different mindset. So he got caught up in
Hold on, let Shadow land. I didn't even hear you.
So he got so my brother got caught up, in a lot of the street shit because he had a different mindset. He had a different way.
We got a Mike. I'm trying to figure out who it is.
It might be me. It might be me.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, man. So, so like I said, my brother, my sister, the younger brother, my younger sister raised in the exact same household, the same mother and father, in the same neighborhood, but with the same upbringing, but their mindset was a bit different. So they got. There was more. God damn. Can I finish my thought though, brother?
I don't even think that was a person. Did you hit something, Marty? What was that?
Oh no, that wasn't me. I think that was somebody else.
Oh. Okay, y'all keep an eye out for me. Help me if somebody interrupts again. Go ahead, babe.
Somebody got muted me, my bad. I'm not gonna be too much longer. I'm gonna land my plane.
Oh no, you get.
Just making the point that it has to depend on mindset. And I'm hearing we're talking about that this being a problem in the black community. I don't think it's so much a problem in the black community as it more so the ghetto community. Because a lot of this shit happens in the ghettos, which happens to have a high, population of majority black people. But there's some of this shit goes on in white ghettos, Hispanic ghettos, but it's very, I think it's more of a ghetto problem than it is a black community problem. I'm a damn.
Sir, speak, please.
That was GMF, yeah. And guys, that always helps me when you say your name. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I think with this specific situation, it's kind of a bit blurry. Because I think first, the narrative that's out on how Takeoff passed away is kind of incorrect. Hopefully it'll get cleared up within the next few days. But the industry itself realistically runs off of mob and gangsterism. So that's been like a long-standing thing. When we realize that the same gentlemen and entities that are trying to, get Larry Hoover out of jail, that their youngins are actually the ones now responsible for the death of Takeoff, and that this was a quarrel internally that resorted to gun violence. Then you kind of understand that it's not just a mentality of the ghetto. This is a mentality of hip hop. This is a mentality of how the hierarchy is built. Right, because Jay Prince and all that's rap a lot. This is a record label from like the 80s, right? So this is rap from the 80s has had this culture where we move like this and we handle people aggressively with violence and stuff like that. Maybe it's an American thing, but right now it's a hip hop thing. And wherever you go around the world, when people want to be aggressive, when people want to even virtue signal that kind of energy, they pick a hip hop song, right? It's not like hip hop isn't already known for that. It is kind of worldwide.
His wife, tripping, and his friends turning their back on him, and etc. The Lord allowed that to manifest, Job's faith. And, we get confused with us being in a lower state, with the Lord forsaking us, or the Lord didn't choose us, or he don't like us, or whatever the case may be. But it's, it's rather the opposite. Get that real quick in Sirach chapter 2. Sirach chapter 2 and verse 2.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 2 and verse 2. Set thy heart aright, and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble.
Right. The Lord said, don't make haste in time of trouble. Don't feel like just because, you're at a low point and you going through it, it's time for you to jump ship. The Lord said, no, constantly endure. All right, this light at the end of the tunnel. Read on, read on.
Cleave unto him, depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end.
That thou mayest be what?
Increased at thy last end.
A lot of people don't understand the concept of going through afflictions and going through low points in life. It's for a greater outcome in the end. If you have faith in God, it's a trial of faith. The Lord don't want you to be afflicted or at a low point and decide to turn your back. That's when you're supposed to draw nearer unto him. Affliction is supposed to bring us closer to God. That's why we go through it. The Lord trying to get our attention. The Lord trying to get us to cry out to him. Because when everything going good, we got everything we want, everything our heart desire. We ain't getting our knees and praying. We ain't crying out to the Lord. You understand? We enjoying, what life is giving us in that time. So affliction is to bring us closer to God. Alright? So your latter end can be increased. Read on.
Whatsoever is brought upon us, be patient.
That right there, the Lord said, be patient when you change to a lower state. You understand that? That don't mean the Lord didn't left you out to dry, nothing like that. The Lord, he watching you. He trying to prove a point to say, hey, that's my vessel right there. He one of the elect. Just trying to see. And you go through that season where, the devil, he attacking you. That's to make manifest that, who you believe in, what you gonna stand for. All the prophets in the Bible, they went through hell. You understand? And we read this stuff, but we don't fully tap in with it because we don't understand that those are our forefathers. Daniel was a black man. That was a black man thrown in the lion's den. You understand? For real, that was Jeremiah was a black man thrown in that pit to starve to death and die, to sink in that quicksand. That was a black man. You know what I'm saying? That was a black man on that cross who was getting whipped, beat, spit on, vinegar shoved in his throat. That was a black man. You understand? So when we identify with these things and understand who we are, and the scriptures become more and more real, and we're able to face reality with stronger faith in the Lord, ready for whatever come our way. When we don't got that identity, we don't got that consciousness of who we are and what this walk of life is really about, we find ourselves selling out, doing whatever to achieve what the world has to offer. That's why we gotta wake up. For real, that's why we gotta wake up. So look, let me reset the room real quick. Make sure everybody has tag Biblical Smoke with the topic. We still going. Migos Takeoff was killed. You reap what you rap. Alright, is that your thoughts on it? Is that your take on it? Do you disagree? Do you agree? We want you to join in on the conversation. Alright, you're more than welcome. So ping people to the room. Copy and paste the link, share the link. We got our email pinned up at the top if you want to get in contact with us. It's biblicalsmoke@gmail.com. But if you're in the audience, you listening in, don't be shy. Raise your hand, chime in on the conversation. All right, we want to hear everybody's viewpoints on this. All right. Next in the queue, we got Jeremiah.
Hey, what's going on, man? So, yeah,
What you got there, my friend?
definitely think that you reap what you sow.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
And so, yeah, I just, I'm very passionate about it. I'll speak to what I think about rap music, but I'm pretty passionate about it, so I'm just going to reserve. I wanted you to clarify something, Emmanuel, something that was said about enjoying living in the flesh now, or living it up when Jesus Christ comes back. So I want you to tell me about the scripture that says
that a wise man or a good man
To hell with you.
leaves an inheritance for his children's children, and how it relates to us, I guess, not seeking out the wealth and the materialistic things. Can you kind of expound on that a little bit?
Okay.
Christ alive.
Let's go to Ecclesiasticus. Well, now let's go to Matthew 6. Christians, we know this passage right here. We know this scripture. The Bible, you had many rich forefathers,
To hell with you.
righteous man. A lot of wicked rich men.
Rehabilitation might be beyond them,
You
but
know what
we
I'm saying?
may
A
hope.
lot of wicked rich men, but
We
you
pay
had a
on receipt
remnant
of
of
goods,
righteous
so
men throughout the
there you
scriptures
go.
in different time periods. Because of the way that they operated with those riches and the way that they operated before they obtained them is pretty plain in the scriptures. But we're gonna go through them real quick. Read that real quick. 6:33.
Yes, sir. The book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
Right. So the Lord wants you to seek first the kingdom of God. For a lot
deceased. So their plights are not ever really given them respect.
Hello?
Because these people are violent people. It's all a ploy and a tactic, and if we can't see that within ourselves, we need to actually take a look at it. I'll land there.
Hey, Kenji, Maze, I have a question. I have actually a question if you could do this for the room. Because I know we're talking a lot of hypotheticals and theories and assumptions. Can we just do a quick poll in the chat? Like, how many, can you ask the poll, and I mean the chat room, how many people have listened to hip hop music and did something violent? Because this is not like a U.S. survey or anything. It is a small sample size, because then we can see if like I'm an outlier, or I think reasonably a lot of people listen to rap music or hip hop music, and let's see what they have to say, like with a poll.
Wait, so ask
Shit,
if
brother,
they
I can
listen
tell
to
you.
it.
Violence is subjective.
Okay, hold on. So you want to know? So basically, if you listen to hip hop, is it because it
No,
has violence?
if you
Okay.
listen to, like, whoever listening in their lifetime, have they committed a crime or were they violent because of listening to hip hop music?
Okay.
Shit, Young Jeezy
Yeah.
used to influence the shit out of me when I was hustling. That shit used to fire me up, make me want to get out there and get more money. So yeah,
But it made you kill somebody? Did you kill somebody because of that?
it didn't make me do anything violent, don't kill anybody, but you know, certain songs, like you in the club, certain songs, like perfect example, Luck If You Buck. There's certain songs that did give you that to give you that you felt invincible, or you know what I'm saying, like.
And the reason
It didn't make me personally want to go and cause no harm to anybody.
The reason I say that is because the media, I think the narrative with the media, anything that's bad a black person does, they polarize it, like they kind of amplify it in the media. So we think that it's something that is like it's happening like on a grand scale, which I don't, to me personally, I don't think that's the case. I think white people died off opioid more than black people killing each other, but they don't show that in the news. Like the Vikings assistant coach just passed away, I think because of substance abuse, but they're not going to show that. It's just like they're always showing black violence, and I think people think it's happening much more than it is.
So basically,
I don't think anybody disagrees.
hold on, real quick. So basically, he's saying that if you've been listening to hip hop, are you in fact somebody who's committed crimes? Like, you want to find out the relationship between the people that actually listen to hip hop and do what they're hearing. Is that what you're
Like
asking?
killing somebody or murder, like.
I
So
feel like
if
you
that-
should be polling a prison instead of polling right here. Like that doesn't make as much sense. We're out. We're
It's a
discussing
small
this
sample size.
problem
Yeah. It's a
on a
small sample
stage.
size. Yeah,
But
don't
the
take it
sample
emotional.
size that you should be talking to are the people committing the crimes. If you're asking the people that are committing the crimes,
But not
who listen
everybody
to
got
rap
caught,
music,
though.
shouldn't you be asking? But I'm just saying, shouldn't you be asking the largest pool, the prisoners, the
Why are you
convicts, if
defensive
they were
about
listening to
that?
rap music? And a lot of them are saying before I even view that, a lot of them are saying they are listening to rap music. So yes, it is influencing them too. It's not encouraging them to do the right thing. It's also pushing the same thing that they're thinking they should be doing from their environment. So it's echoing that message to them in a louder tone. It's everywhere. They go to the club, they hear it. They go to the car wash, they hear it. They go to the job, they hear it. They hear it everywhere. So it's like at the end of the day, yes, they are listening to that, and yes, it is playing more influence.
We're just in a small sample size. It's not that.
It's an answer to what the goddess is saying, even to the ones that it doesn't make us go out and do anything violent or do some crash or shit. I still think it affects us on a subconscious, subliminal level. Whether we know it or not. Like I said, I was listening to Jeezy and I felt compelled to want to hustle more. I felt like, damn, I'm gonna go ahead and get this money. But I didn't know that consciously. You know what I'm saying? So I think it affects us all on different scopes and different levels.
That's a good point, Shadow. I think, when I think of music in any facet, it's a form of expression. People are putting into words what they're experiencing, what they're feeling, and it could be a wave. Our emotions aren't, literally, they're not. They move. It moves. It's an energy, and motion. And so it goes through us, and I think that a lot of people will be able to listen to something and relate to something. And so, in essence, it's a form of expression of getting, but does it activate DNA? Does it make you more enlightened? I don't think, I would say that, yeah, it just depends. It depends on what it is. But I know that there's certain songs that just light me up. You know what I mean? Old school. I would say, not the current day.
But these people that put this out here, they understand this science. Like when we're talking about music, we're literally just talking about frequency. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody mentioned earlier, we literally talking about frequency, vibration, and energy. And our bodies is comprised of the majority of water. And you can pull up many videos on YouTube and see the effects of frequency and vibration with how its effects on water. You don't think these people understand this science? Like this is an actual science, and they're using this shit against us. It's almost like we're in a frequency war. Like it's amazing to mention it. Like our music, I do music, so I understand all this shit with frequency and hertz and all that. But there was a time our music was tuned to 432 hertz, which is a more harmonious frequency. Now it's tuned to a 440 hertz. That's when you look at that, it's a chaotic frequency, and you can't the naked ear cannot detect the subtle little difference. So you have to have a really trained ear to hear it, but it's very, very subtle, but it has a very big effect. That is a big difference, even though it's it's a subtle 432 to 440. It has a huge effect on the body, the mind, and the psyche, and the spirit. I like it.
Exactly.
Yes, the beats affect your heart. The beats affect your heart. It affects your heart rate. Your heart rate mimics that. So it's speeding it up is a problem. It's making your heart rate beat faster. Your heart beating faster is making more blood rush throughout your whole body. It's all connected. At the end of the day, all of this is on purpose. Only thing I'm pointing to in this conversation is what we should be pointing to in the hip hop community. The rappers should not be rapping this stuff over these beats because the beats are already sped up too quickly. So what they should be pushing is stuff that we want to stick to the children. And it's not the parents that are saying, hey, listen to this. It's the older siblings that are watching their little brothers because their parents are at work doing what they need to do, not influencing this BS. Their older siblings are teenagers that don't care, or younger children that are watching kids now that are 5-year-olds and 3-year-olds and 2-year-olds and 1-year-olds, watching them saying, oh, mommy won't let us listen to this, so don't tell mommy, but we're gonna listen to whatever we want because we're fucking kids. So the rappers need to stop talking about this shit because it's low vibrational and it's hurting our community as a whole.
Mama Lisa, I know you wanted to speak, and I just brought Samay up, and so we're gonna tap in with her. I think that the frequency factor of it is definitely a part of this. And I think that, I don't even know what we can do about that because, and oh, I still got those receipts for you. So as the ladies are going, I'm gonna go pull that up and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. But go ahead, Mama Lisa, and then we'll go to.
Thank you for letting me speak again. I just wanted to talk about the frequencies because just like television, it's our duty as parents to censor our children's frequency, meaning music and television media or whatever. That Travis Scott Festival is a good example of a soul search. He was searching for souls, and a lot of people died by those frequencies being too overwhelming to them. They knew what they were doing with those frequencies, and like I say, it's just our duties as parents, and just uh, it the freak. Joy was going to hit on it, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Joy, I'm just going to say I agree with her on that.
I need some help here. This is GMS speaking. I kind of want to push back on the 440, 442 perspective on music. Right, when I really look at music, I'm a musician myself. I kind of started more in the gospel, went got classically trained. Now I do like hip hop and stuff, right? And pop music and whatever. And I understand the conversation because, if you ever produce music, you could definitely hear the difference between just a couple cents. The difference between 440 and 442 is about like 8 cents. If you understand what I'm saying, 8 cents is 100 cents, right? And a dollar is 100 cents. So it's like dividing a semitone into 100. To say you're going up one semitone, you say you would have 100 cents in between that step. So going up about 8 cents is kind of how they.
You're measuring it. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but it's a little bit flawed in the terms that I'm trying to say.
No, I'm talking literally like what is happening, right? Because we're talking about vibrational sound. So when you're actually tuning something from 440 to 442, you're just speeding up the way it oscillates,
well, let me
right?
explain something to you.
So if it was,
let me just say this one thing about that. And then I'm going to continue. I'm going to give you the mic. But there's a difference between anything that adds up to 869, the vortex math. Okay, we're talking about that keys to the universe type shit. There is a there's in harmony. Right, it's in harmony with our body. Like if you were to take water and play this frequency 432 against the water, it's going to begin turning into like a kaleidoscope of sacred geometry. It'll begin structuring in a way of like snowflakes and shit. Like it's beautiful. And then if you play 440, it begins to go into chaos. That's what I'm saying. So even though it's the 8 cents, there is that much of an impact. So go ahead.
Yeah, I understand that concept point, but my real point is actually to the mechanical application of it, right? So the mechanical application of sound vibration is really very difficult to keep a constant. So even if you're like listening to a car playing music and it passes by, you can hear it warp, right? That's how quickly and easily sound is able to change in terms of how quick and how slow it's vibrating. Just the pressure of the air around you, all kinds of things. If you untie me now, I won't come back to kill you. The equipment in your room, carpet, all kinds of things can change how music is tuned and come to your ears. So just generally the entire idea of the conversation is just kind of ludicrous because just seeing a pattern of how water is vibrating doesn't have anything to do. Like your body is made out of water technically, but not really. Your body is made out of H3O. So the water that you consume, your body has to transmute it into a more gel form version of itself. So I want to see how 440 and whatever reacts to that gel solution, and then maybe I could be like, okay, that's what's happening in my body. But you tune a piano incorrectly, it's not like you're gonna get sick playing that piano, or you tune a guitar incorrectly. That's really all this conversation is. I get it, everyone, it's great when you use the real deep words and to try and understand what's going on. But when you just look at it mechanically, what sound is literally doing, it's vibrating molecules. And if you speed it up or slow it down, that happens all the time. It's it's happening all the
And
time.
these molecules
If
that
you, if
exist.
you,
You're
if
saying,
you,
Soon as
if
they're
you,
in
if
that
you
cell, you
But
can
explain
get
GM,
it more
yourself
like,
yeah,
paid.
if you explain,
I'm a professional sound engineer, so I'm
Spend it
telling
in
you
tab.
factually
No,
that
but I'm telling you
sound is not
actually, okay.
constant like that.
but
Sound is
GMF,
actually more measured in ranges.
you're not all the way right
Sound
though.
is more measured in ranges.
Hold on, Jim. My
You
flesh
would
shut
be
up.
crazy if you don't think these frequencies don't have an effect.
I didn't
Like
say
we
that didn't
did.
have an effect. I didn't say they didn't have an effect. But how you guys are trying to measure it, it's not accurate because the math of how sound works is more in ranges, right?
So can I ask you a question?
Most of the times when people calculate things, it's relative.
But
Most of the
I
times when
think you're
people calculate
missing the
things,
point
yeah,
of the
you're still missing the point.
conversation.
You,
Yeah,
I'm not
Listen,
missing
I'm
anything.
telling
You
you,
guys,
what
I'm
he's
but
telling
you
you
saying
are
about
is
the
missing
he
the
mechanics.
doesn't
point.
get it.
okay,
He
you
doesn't
know,
get it.
What
so
do you mean I don't get it? I've
how
watched the
about,
documentaries about the
He
okay,
has no
440 and
You're
idea.
442
missing her
hertz. I know
point.
exactly everything you guys are
GMF, can
saying.
you just stop for a second, please, sir?
You guys just don't
I'm
agree with
just
me.
no. Yes, we can agree to disagree. However, I will just take the liberty of sending you some stuff that you can review. Send me what you got, but I will tell you that I have a frequency machine that if you look into Rife technology, look into what frequency does. It can actually be weaponized. It can be, I mean, because
Yes.
it's something that can be used, and I think that it is on a large scale. It is impacting people, right? And I just don't want you to be so dismissive of it. I understand what you're trying to say,
Now,
but
if you guys
I'm
made a
telling you
point
that.
about white noise, right? If this whole discussion was about
No.
white noise and the impact of white noise, then maybe you guys would have a
We're
point.
still
But you
talking.
guys are
We
talking
still
about
talking.
music.
We're still talking
You
about
guys
the
are talking
music
about
is
music. If you're talking
music
about
is
maybe how
frequency. Music
electronic
is
machines are,
frequency.
it
It's
changes.
Goalpost is
all
moving.
GMF.
No, there's
Where
no
where
goalpost moving because I don't
It's
agree with you
all.
guys.
It's
But
I didn't
listen,
don't
it
agree
doesn't
with you
matter.
guys.
We're
Listen,
talking about
it's
phonics
frequency.
at the
We're
end
still
of the
talking
day.
Yeah,
about
of
your
course we're talking about
frequencies,
phonics, and there's
the
multiple
music
frequencies,
is
harmonics
frequency.
for every note.
listen,
There's multiple
GMF,
harmonics for every note.
the
Y'all could
frequencies
really
do
get people
correlate to your
anxiety
heartbeat,
attacks in
right?
this
yeah,
room.
man, I
But
can't like yeah.
Just like when you're just like when they're using the paddles, they use frequencies to adjust the paddles to affect your heart, right? Are we on the same page there? So frequencies do affect your heart,
Yeah, and it's
and the music
frequency
frequencies.
ranges.
The
That's what I said. Frequency
yes.
ranges.
So there's what we're telling you is they're using the range that is most effective to the body. They set it up so that they can affect your heart and your body, coincidentally, more with the music that you're listening to today than they were back in the day. Because they have technology to speed it up
Get away
faster
from me.
than
it's the
they have
Illuminati.
back
They're
then.
out to get us.
All right, so like
Do
right
you,
now,
do
I
you,
can
do
go.
you,
I can
decla-
go
do
to
you
my.
deny
Okay.
I
that
can go
part?
to my DAW. I
Wait.
can log into my DAW right now, and I can change the
Hold on.
tuning. There's
Okay.
multiple forms of tuning. I could
Hold on
change
a
it. I
second,
could change
GMO.
it to the. Why you guys want me to hold on? I'm actually the
Because
person who's
Cause she's a
educated
damn
and
mod
worked
and
with
she
tuning.
Yeah,
I'm
keep
just
telling
No,
you.
no, it's
yes.
not.
we
It's
all
not because
gotta
of the mod.
respect
Yeah,
No.
each
like
other.
bro, you
You
act like
guys,
you the
you
only
guys
one
are
on the
cutting me
app,
GMF.
off.
but you're
Random
acting like
people
you're
in
the
the
only
audience have been cutting me off.
GMF.
That's fine.
you're
Let
acting like you're the
Maze
only one
rock.
on the
I
on
didn't
the
know
app.
it was
You
Yes.
act
me
like you're the only
speaking.
one
I
doing
Thank
didn't
you.
it.
know it was me speaking. I thought it was another person in the
No,
audience cutting me
it's
off.
me. It's me. I'm speaking because I don't want to go very far down the side street. I think that there was an aspect of what's happening that is disruptive, I think, to just humanity in general. And I do think that since we're kind of talking about music, it was important to bring up that that change was implemented and that there is, you know, the harmony versus disharmony. It is a factor, and I'm not trying to get into like how much of a factor, 8 cents, 10 cents, whatever. I think that we could use all the cents that we can get. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to look at that aspect of it and say that, you know, maybe that's something that we could have changed at some point and revert back to 432, which has actually been proven. It has been proven to be a healing frequency, something that actually puts you into a very relaxed state that brings about like your body begins, your cells begin functioning differently. And so that's all I was trying to bring up. And I don't want to go too far down
Yeah,
the
I'll
proof
just
of it,
wrap up
okay?
with it. My point wasn't to dissuade you guys from thinking the way you're thinking. I'm talking about the mechanical application of what you guys are speaking on. So if you have a keyboard in your home, a Yamaha keyboard, whatever old keyboard, doesn't matter. And for some reason over the years it detunes because the mechanics within it is not allowing it to maintain the tuning structure that it has, it's going to be detuned. If everyone in the house now starts getting sick every time you guys play it,
Nobody said it's
I
gonna
guess
make.
that's what happened.
Okay, listen,
Because
this is
that's the way you
that.
guys
So that's where the
are
mis. I
approaching the
just.
conversation
No,
about
I
we're
just.
frequency
not.
when it's
Okay.
a bit more nuanced.
Will you just stop?
Maze,
Okay.
can I ask a
I can't
question
even
to
finish my
Yes.
clarify
final
this?
point
Hold on a
before
second,
everyone
GMF.
jumps on. We're
GMF,
not
one
even talking
second.
about
This
the
is
original
Maze.
topic.
This is Maze. This
Oh,
is
sorry.
Maze.
Go ahead.
No, you good. So listen, I just want to point. I just want to point out where I think we're now. Now I've identified the difference. I'm not saying that this is going to cause people sickness. I'm not saying it's going to cause any mental infirmities or any body sickness. But what I am saying is that whenever we are already kind of hearing these lyrics, it amplifies it. It amplifies the disharmony. You know what I mean? It's not. It's not. I'm not. I don't think that like we're the whole instrument being just untuned to make people sick. That's I agree with you there. Okay, I don't think that that's gonna affect people. So okay, who was it that just said my name that wanted to speak? Go ahead.
Can I say something? I've been on stage
Yeah.
for hours.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, of course.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Listen, I'll be really quick. I've been in the industry. I appreciate my anonymity, so that's why I look the way I do. I'll say this quickly. I was chatting to a member of the Outlaws, Tupac's collective, and I asked him. I said, "Yo, is there something from that time that you regret?" And he said to me, "Yes, I regret the fact that that Pac didn't have anybody that was old enough that was able to calm him down." He said a lot of people seem to forget that we were all babies. Pac was 25 at the time. We were all 17, 18 following behind him. And we didn't have any real OGs that can calm him down. So I say that to say this. One of the things that happened in the community that sent a lot of black men to the cemetery or to the prison is emotional regulation. Not being able to understand the science of calming oneself down and not letting your pride or being able to self-soothe. I think that if we learned that with Pac, we could have prevented that from happening with a lot of other rappers up until like where we at now. Now I know some people might say, hey, well, what happened with Nipsey is different from what happened with Takeoff, and it's different from what happened with Pop Smoke, and it's different from happened with Chinks and yada 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 yada. But the fact of the matter is, there is a commonality here, and life has a funny way of repeating the same lessons if you continuously ignore them. This is Tucson, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Tucson. That was actually very powerful. Um, and I know that there was a lot of other people that were trying to chime in. Go ahead. Now's the time. You know what I'm saying? Grab the mic. Let's go. Who wants it?
This is Joy. I'm not going to say anything after I say this. I just want to point out that I understand that there are multiple factors that play into why we're experiencing these deaths and murders in our community. I'm not trying to discredit any of those other things. I'm just grateful that we have the platform now to talk about how the music is also playing a role so that we can hopefully encourage people to change the music that we want to listen to. We don't want to hear that shit anymore. That's where I'm at. When it was onesies and twosies, it was like, okay, that's just a small sector. The majority of rap is positive. Now that it is overwhelmingly violent and degenerative, there is no reason for us to be pushing that message that we're still supporting rap as a whole. We should be only supporting specific people that are not feeding poison to the community. And I'm not saying get rid of rappers. I want rap music to stay. I just don't want us to be talking about this same shit for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, making shit worse. We've identified that it's a problem. They need to change the lyrics in the music. It is problematic for our community. The end. It's not helping anyone. Can someone say how listening to Kill, Kill, Kill made them a better person? I haven't heard one person say that because it just doesn't. So at the end of the day, we need to change our music. We need to change what we're pushing to the youth because even if it's not us individually doing it in this room, little kids are doing it and saying it's not a big deal. I don't do it. So I'll let all these other little kids listen when they're with me. So just be realistic with this problem. It isn't a problem with the parenting. The parents shouldn't let their kids listen. This shit is everywhere. The kids can go anywhere and hear it. That's a problem. And we need to fix the problem, which is what we're putting into the music, what we're putting out there. And that's where I'm
I would agree with that. I do think that the lyrics. Oh, go ahead, Ashton. Is that you? It's hard to hear you, babe. Oh, your mic. You sound like you very far away. Yeah, you need about a few more bars. Anybody else want to chime in while she's getting the audio fixed?
Yeah, I'd like to chime in. This is Lord.
Go ahead, Lord.
Well, if we don't change anything, then nothing's going to change.
Is that better?
It is better. So yeah, Lord, we'll circle right back to you. But go ahead, Ashton. Sure. Yeah, much better, Ashton.
That's better. Okay, good. Yeah, I've been listening to this, and I'm not gonna blame music, because we have a lot of factors in society that contribute to violence and stuff like that, and you can't just blame one sector and say it is the problem, or that a Black person or their circumstances is the reason that they commit these problems or these crimes, excuse me. A lot of times these people are not shown the way out. A man once told me, he said, I'm going to teach you how to fish. But if you don't have anybody to teach you how to fish, then how can you sustain yourself? We're not teaching people what they need to do to get out of their circumstances sometimes, unless it comes with pay me and then I'll teach you, right? A lot of stuff out here, yeah, people will help people to learn whatever they want to learn, but a lot of times a lot of people run into cost or money, right, to learn information and education. A lot of times it doesn't have to come from a book or a college. Sometimes, we have kids raising kids, right? You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I mean? You got kids raising kids and that kind of stuff. And that is hard to tote. But to just blame rap music or music by itself, you blame some of these other industries that also indoctrinate people, institutionalize people, prisons, pipelines, those types of things. You can't just blame just one sector. So I think when you talk about prison, you talk about that kind of stuff. I mean, I live in Texas. Gosh, I mean, they have some of the largest prisons here in Texas. And so we have to begin to help our people when they come out of these prisons. And that starts with legislation. So I blame the way that things are legislated. I don't care what's written in a song, what's played on a TV, or whatever. My grandmother said the great outdoors awaits you. You can either sit here on your butt and continue to wallow in your problems, or you can grab something and hold on to it and become successful. I was sleeping under a bridge with nothing, right? And I became a 4-time gold medalist. I live in Dallas, Fort Worth. There's everything you can think of coming up through here. Drugs, dope. I did swimming. I still swim to this day. That's me in the photo there. And I said to myself, either physically I'm going to make it or die trying. And so for me as a woman, I said, look, I want the best in this life, and I worked. I worked at several jobs. I did demolition work where I bored holes through concrete, and I moved furniture for a living. But the greatest job I ever had was a job boring holes through concrete, because that job taught me that you don't have to be out here selling drugs. You don't have to be out here selling yourself. Yes, and we saw those people doing that out here in Dallas Fort Worth. People would literally do that out here and stuff like that. And that ain't the way. And so if someone is willing to show you the way out from that situation and show you that you can take your talents, whatever, guys, let me tell you the truth. Whatever talent God gave you tonight, take that talent and say, can that talent get me out?
You went out.
Because if your talent, can take you from the situation that you're in tonight, then fill in that blank. Because that talent would be your very way out. And for me, I work hard physically, right? I'm not lazy, and you can tell that. And like I told the person that's living here, I told him, I said, dude, with all the might in my body, I want to make sure that I am taught 2 things before I pass away. What is a trust? We need to make sure we teach our kids and teach people sustainability of money. I don't care how it is. And we need to teach our kids to teach people not to make excuses. That is what my grandmother taught me, and that is what my mother taught me before she passed away. She said, when you continue to make excuses about what life throws at you, instead of taking life, what it has thrown at you, and shaping your life with that. And that's what I do every single day. And that's what I did. By the grace of God, I got up every day and worked for that man at that job, because of that job, boring holes in concrete, I was no longer sleeping under a bridge every night. Was it something that I wanted to do? Nobody wants to sleep under a bridge. Nobody, okay? Nobody wants to do that. But I fought with all of my might in that job, and I was taught that if I don't give up on this life, then life won't give up on me regardless of my circumstances. I didn't live in the projects. I lived under a bridge, guys, a bridge. Okay, there's no door, there's none of that. You have to take up for yourself and say, I am on my own. You will die on your own, just as though you were born on your own. You came into this world on your own. And so that is something I go to sleep every day. And I told my boyfriend, I said, this is what we have to do. We have to take care of one another and get back to that. I don't care what community you come from, black, white, purple, doesn't matter. If you can learn to take care of one another, help the man in need across from you, man or woman across from you, that's what makes a better society. We get together and get our people together and teach them the right things. Teach them finances. Teach them the things that they are not learning in school, and do it for free. And stop charging our people and nickel and diming our people. That's what I see. That's what I see every day. That our people are nickel and dime, and they go out here and buy Nikes and shoes, but yet we don't know the value of taking our tax dollars. That stimulus check, some people blew it. That stimulus check I took and got me an LLC. So when we teach kids, instead of going out here and go blowing whatever checks on whatever, you take the money that you are given. The Bible says if you manage a little, God will bless you with a lot. Whether people believe in that or not, I don't know. All I'm telling you is, if someone gives you money, you take that money and find your way out of poverty. That's what you gotta understand, because if you know how money works, you know what money can do for you, then you're not sitting here wondering how your life is going to shape out tomorrow. Because I said two things tonight. You get a will, got that together, and you have a trust. What is a trust? That takes care of you for the rest of your life, and you know how to use it, and you're secure. You don't have to become a Moor or whatever else that other dude was talking about. You bond and fashion yourself with a trust, and forget all that other stuff, because you can do the same thing under a trust just as though a Moor can do. And watch what I'm telling you. Everything I'm telling you is legal, and everything I'm telling you, you can go look up what a trust can do for you. A trust cannot be pierced. Once it is written, that can be final. It can be changed.
Kind of digressing a little bit, but I do appreciate it.
You want to start the room? I wouldn't agree on that.
Yeah, I do think that that definitely deserves a spin-off where you can provide more information. Actually, she is getting some facts though, for real.
Absolutely.
But so I know that there were more people that were in line to speak, though. I just wanted to kind of pass it around. But thank you so much for being up here and sharing your story and being vulnerable. You know, I got mad love for you. So.
This is Meg.
Yes, love. So Meg.
Hi. The part that I don't agree with you is the fact that you said that music is not the problem. It may not be the entire pie, does not mean that it's not a part of the pie. One of the things that as children that we are taught, the first thing is what? To sing. Because when you sing, that's something that sticks to the brain. Songs that we know from we're 3, 4 years old that keep on repeating to us. The songs that we'll never forget. Even some of the songs that we listen as teenagers, our favorite songs, we can sing them word for word. Am I correct? And so to say that the type of music that you listen to do not influence you, that would not be correct, because the brain is a muscle, and the more you repeat it, the more you remember it. So, and there's not something called a war on social media for a reason. there's something that's called war on social media for a reason. So to say that, and okay, next point is that the people who control the media, they don't look like you and me. Why don't they sign people to be putting out positive music or putting out positive things that will empower our youth based on
Never say
you
that's
look at
not
the
profitable.
exactly. So what they're putting things that's going to degenerate our community, and what we see on TV, you see that our young ladies want to look like those people that are in those shows. They want to sing the songs. They want to act twerking. Apparently, you see little babies doing that. How is it a little child wants to twerk? Not saying that dance is not influential, but really and truly, are kids supposed to be doing these things? No. So to say it's not the entire problem, but it does play a part. Just wanted to say that.
You said you disagree. You said you disagree with me. You know, in this life, a lot of folks disagree with me a lot of times, including the man living here, but I don't care. At the end of the day, what I'm telling you from the Texas welcome is at the end of the day is music cannot be blamed for some of the atrocities and stuff that we see. We can also blame other factions for things that we see too, including some of the shootings and other things like that. People don't say anything about that. People don't say anything about these large corporations that nickel and dime people too, and nickel and dime our black community out of other rights. Okay, people don't talk about that. And
But
what do
they're
I mean
nickel
by
and diming us out of the same hip hop industry. Like really and truly, these artists
they
get a
nickel and
penny on
dime
the
us?
dollar to what
They nickel and
the
dime us
owners
for
get,
real
and
estate.
really,
The
excuse me.
biggest thing that they the biggest thing that I'm concerned about is our people don't realize what's slipping off from under our feet. The greatest thing we have beneath us is the land that we have. And we're nickel and dime every day for the land and property that we have. And we as a people, we have to learn to maintain what we have in the land. You can't
I
make
mean,
no more
that's
of no
that.
land.
Okay, so
And that is
two
what it
things
is.
can be correct at the same time, correct?
We are brainwashed.
Yeah, two things
Hey,
can
hey,
be
man.
Well, Ashton, I have a
Listen,
question for you, if I
two things
may.
can be correct at the same time. So to say that, oh, that this isn't affecting us, this is the most Bolshevik statement I've heard. Like you're speaking some things that are real, but at the same time to negate that this isn't affecting us, it didn't affect us as a generation. It's affecting the generation that's coming up. That's absurd.
And Ashton,
we've been
if I may
brainwashed.
ask a question,
Well,
you said hip
and
hop.
now we
You
are woke.
you
We are conscious now.
Hold on
well
We
one
you
second. Who's the
fuck.
gentleman
But
that's
we,
asking a
it's
question?
Coach
slavery,
D. I'm gonna ask a lot of questions
slavery,
for
Oh,
we've been
clarification.
brainwashed. Now we are woke.
So,
We are,
Ashton, my
okay.
question to
Wait.
you for
I think Daphne, are
clarification.
you done? Sorry, Daphne. Okay, yeah, she's done.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So, Ashton, you said hip hop cannot be contributed to some of the atrocities that we see. You didn't say all. You said some. So my question is to you: can hip hop be contributed to that other portion of some of the atrocities we see?
I think, with an NPR answer like the news, I'll say, yeah, some of that can be contributed, but we have to look at the home and we have to look at stuff in the way America itself was constructed against black people itself. We'll put music on that pedestal too, but we have to look at welfare. We have to look at what was pulled out of the home. The man, my grandmother told me the truth, right? And she said, at the end of the day, when you take the backbone out of the home, which was traditionally a man, right? Whatever people want to say. I live in the South. That's how I was taught here. Man and woman be together, stay together. That's just what it was. So at the end of the day, when you take that man out of the black household, then you pull out structure and you make people depend on a system or institutionalize them under that system. That is the problem. And we have to learn to teach people that there is something greater and better than being institutionalized. When we teach people how to be independent within themselves and teach them that they are somebody and that they can become somebody, then they're not out here feeling like they're being nickeled and dimed by a system. Then they can become a part of a system, not just through integration, but learning that they can be a part of that system with their culture. Opal Lee taught me a lot. I want y'all to look her up. Opal Lee taught me a lot. And she said, I made Juneteenth a federal holiday, right? And I get my information from people like that because she said, this is systematic. When white people came and burned my home down, she sat there and talked about it. And she said, we continue to fight for equality today and through music and through other apparatuses. That is what she said. We must continue to tell our people, instead of the situations that you wallow in today, may you find your way out of that. And that's what I work with every day. I work with an organization called Cloud Cover Streets, and we tell people that you can become somebody. And when you tell people that and you give them hope and they see hope, and you take these people from these, torn areas to better parts of town, then they even see that there's something better than that. We got to learn to take people, right, and get their butts in the seat. My grandma told me this. She said, I want you to get your butt in the seat, you and your brother, and y'all go to another state and y'all go on down there and have a good time. We saw America, and my grandmother taught me a lot through that. Riding a train across America, I saw poverty and I also saw mansions. And she sat there and said to me on that train, either you can sit there and ride the train of life and live in poverty, or y'all can sit here and do something about yourselves and make something of yourselves. And as that train cut a path through the mountains, we saw mansions rise up and do better.
Can I be heard? Can I be heard on this
microphone?
microphone?
Absolutely.
Facts.
You
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Who's me?
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Who's me?
Hey, hello.
Hi, hello.
Hey, how y'all doing? Hey, I'm a newcomer on here.
Welcome. What's your name?
My name is Tony. How y'all doing out here?
Hi, Tony.
Hey, my man from Houston, he is truly right, because he read a letter that half of the black people on this microphone probably ain't even heard of, that Willie Lynch. And he was speaking on that. And back to that hip hop that we was talking about, a lot of the way we was brought up, like Run DMC when they first came out. I wanted my Adidas, I wanted my tracksuit, I wanted that Mercedes Benz.
Right there.
That's what we see. But reality, something is keeping us down. I believe that we all scared to bring Black Wall Street back. Y'all familiar with them?
Yes, I'm very familiar with that. We're actually working with an organization to make that rise up. It is called the Black Wall Street, and we are coming together to do exactly that. So I feel you on that. So
you said something else about the checks that we got. That was free money. And I know it don't take much money to open up a grocery store. I don't really support rich people, especially our rich black people, for the simple fact we support them by buying their entertainment. What are they doing with the money? They should be bringing that money back to us in the community.
Amen.
Every time I go to a store, I see an Arab, a Chinese lady. Hey, I took a friend to the beauty shop the other day. She in the black community, got her shop in the middle of a black community, and this lady was short 12 cents. And the Chinese lady did not give it to her. Bring me the 12 cents. And I'm like, look, we support you here in our community. How many people buy a 99-cent item and leave a penny?
Okay, so what are we waiting for to create?
That's my point. What we gonna do?
Well, a lot of it has to. What's the question? I like to speak.
And then you know something else. This is something else.
Hold on. Wait, hold on, Tony. Who is it that wants to speak after them?
Go ahead, brother.
Okay. So I heard Williams. Hold on. Let him land. All right, so Tony, go ahead and land. But just be mindful since you're new. Welcome to Clubhouse, by the way. Make sure you're following the club. Tap the little green house.
I like this adult conversation.
Yes, and then whenever you land, we'll go to.
Now this is what's really puzzling. Going back to Mr. Houston, I don't know his name right now. And like I said, he hit some key points over there. Rap music do affect us, but it's deeper than that rap music, because we don't have to let our kids watch and do and perform that. Somebody said something about the little girls twerking. That is sad. That is very sad out there, And the boys is humping on the little girls, So that means sex is gonna get younger. Kids are gonna start having babies at a younger age. Babies gonna definitely be raising babies. And I think our government got this set up in a formation like this. I don't think this is God's intention. But now this is what I was gonna say. All these other nationalities are afraid of the black race. Can't nobody tell us where racism came from or even how it got started. I got my own ideas of how it got started, and it came from the heavens. But if they so afraid of us, why can't we just step up and take over?
Oh,
They know who we are. We don't know who. They know who we are. We don't know who we are. That's the problem.
say it again.
That's the problem right there. We don't know who we are. And like my man was telling us, when you take that father outside that house, that structure is torn up.
That's what I
got
see.
divorced. I got divorced. But you know, my pops, he told me, he said, Tony, if you leave that woman, make sure you take the kids. Not saying that I was gonna be a better person, parent than she was, anything like that. But I done tore a whole foundation up by me leaving. Even though I did take the kids with me, trust me, I took the kids. Dad said, if you don't take them kids, don't come see him no more. I love my dad, so I followed his instructions.
I love him too.
I love my dad. You know, dad. But see, the biggest mistake in my life was divorcing that woman because that killed some of them kids' structures right there. You know, they only got a taste of one sided. My daughter, she walking around here thinking she's a dude. She ain't no lesbian, nothing like that. But she think like a man because she was raised up in a house full of men.
There is the strength.
She's strong. You ain't gonna walk on her, you know. But we ain't gonna get into a personal thing like that. I'm just talking about the structure of man and woman in the house together, because they get both sides. My daughter just got one side, you know. But back to the black community, though, we got to do better.
Nothing wrong with that.
I want to put tests out here. You know, you got a liquor store on every corner. I don't know how many. I'm in Detroit. You got a liquor store on every corner. I don't need a liquor store on every corner. If we could just stop shopping at two of them liquor stores and just walk a little further with a little exercise, shut two of them stores down. They don't like us anyway, you know. Shut them down and we rebuild. Hey, if you take 10 people with $1,000, that's a down payment on the building right there.
But you got a lot of these churches
Hold on, guys, hold on. So I just want to pass the mic around a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Tony. Hang tight.
Thank you.
William, I know you wanted to chime in. And if there's anybody else, we are going popcorn style. So as soon as he lands, you know, just be ready to just say your name and go.
You know what, Maze, if I may jump in very quickly.
Absolutely. Who is that?
That's me, it's Julio.
Oh, hi, Julio.
You know.
Well, Dr. Julio let Dr. Julio go first because Tip Muds usually get the right away. But you'll go right after him, William. Pass it to Wayne. Go ahead.
Actually, I'll let somebody go in front of me, then I'll go, Maze. Go ahead.
Thank you. See, I do that too, but I don't know. Sometimes it's just not my etiquette. I appreciate you, Julio. So yeah, go ahead, William, and then we'll cook.
All right. I was born in the 80s, early 80s, and I grew up in the 90s, and I got into rap music really in the 90s. Went hard on it too. I was born in the sub. I mean, I was raised in the suburbs of Dallas, Texas.
Okay. What's up? Hey, homeboy.
Yeah. I was there before Frisco got built up. Frisco was nothing 30 years ago. But
I was there too. From Texas too, bro.
But I'm very strong in I worked in the music business, and I was also very knowledgeable of the music business. As far as rap music, I think everyone learned with rap music with content, straight out of content that they try to boycott rap music before because they were trying to blame it. But you gotta understand, most of rap music is sold in the suburbs. Most of rap music is sold in the suburbs. I think what we're doing is we're taking rap music and we're trying to blame it, just like they were trying to do back then. So really what it is that it's basically people coming in the music business, these people coming from the streets, and then they're not leaving the streets behind. I used to manage and help out with recording contracts. So if you look at artists like Ice Cube, you can see on Straight Outta Compton, he was not a thug, but he was rapping about stuff. And with Mac 10 and all of them, he started getting crazy into that. But what it is that they're telling, some of them are telling, the ones that are real are telling their stories. And like I said, they didn't believe it at the time. But the people who are listening to, I bought 10 to 20 CDs a month. And I listen to a hardcore, underground, all types of stuff. I mean, going back to Spice One and everything like that. But that's not really underground. But it's hardcore, like rap and gangster. And I knew that it's entertainment, and you leave that at the entertainment stage. You don't, just like when you see in the TV, you don't go jump off the bridge because this person in Mission Impossible jumped off the bridge. You can't, you can't do that. So the same thing with rap. I think what people are missing is that all it is just them rapping about something, and you're not supposed to go live it. But the people who are out there shooting people, they're in the streets anyway. If they want to, they're running around trying to be a thug or whatever you want to call it. They're doing that anyway. So it's not the music; it's the person. So it's not. We can't blame the music. You can't say I listen to music, because I listen hours and hours on of gangster rap. And like I said, I come from the reason why I say I came from the suburbs is because I can tell I have no connection to a projects or anything or whatever, any of that stuff. My dad does. He was born in Chicago, raised in Detroit, and he was back there in the '60s and stuff and everything like that. And he is from the streets. He said it himself, but he had to go and leave to the Marines so he can get away from that. So what I'm saying is, again, I think we can't blame rap music because it's not the problem. It's the kids who want to live that lifestyle. I had no intention of living that lifestyle. But the other thing too, real fast, on Black Wall Street and all that, we had multiple Wall Streets. Tulsa was not the only Wall Street. We had them in Richmond, we had them in Chicago, we had them in New York City. Richmond was our banking Wall Street. New York City was more a little mix of everything, and same thing as Chicago. Detroit was coming up, but it was not as much as Chicago and then other areas around the country. Tulsa was a little different because basically, however you want to believe on that one, it was a little thing with having to do with trying to figure out if a black person killed or messed around with a white woman. So that was what that was about. But the thing too is, as far as Black Wall Street, we can do Black Wall Street, but back then we had to be forced to buy into our own community. And the other thing too was that if we didn't learn how to give back to our people, even though we basically had to be forced to do it. It's like once we got desegregated, we just went off and did our own thing. Another thing, I'm gonna take an opposite stance on that. I don't believe, and I never believed this, that corporations, if you buy something from a business, a product or service, you have to give back to your community. You know where that came from? You got something when you bought the product or service. So I don't know why you're trying to, because product or service is something that you can't do or you don't want to do. I can build computers, but if you go source out all those parts individually, it's going to take you forever to call and order those parts, wait for the parts to come in, and then build a computer. So I'd rather just go buy a Dell computer or HP or whatever instead of build it. So that's again, so when I buy a product or service from a company, that company does now not like, well, the company needs to get back to the people. They already gave something to you when you bought the product or service that you're trying to build. So they don't have any. I don't feel like you have any obligation to get back to the community because you're not a nonprofit and you're not the government. That's not a profit's job and not the government's job, but not as a private sector. Because again, they're not getting donations or special benefits from the government. So there's no obligation to give back to the community because they are giving back to the community in the way of jobs and everything like that. So, but I'll end there.
But it's not.
Maze.
Yes.
Yeah. Whenever you want to crash, you can. All right.
Okay. Thanks, Jonathan. I think Julio wanted to chime in, and then we'll move to close.
Can I go after, please?
Who is that? Well, first, let's go to Julio.
Let yourself get taken alive.
Where you at, Julio?
Big mistake.
Did he leave?
I'd like to go then.
Good money.
Who is that? Oh, Dwayne, you've been waiting for a minute. So we'll go. Was it you, Dwayne?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go to you, and then we'll begin to close the room. So go ahead.
I just want to point out something, and maybe I can say it because of I've been around since the founder of Def Jam in '84. But I think what we've got to come into realize, and as far as solutions, is understanding that hip hop culture and rap business are two separate entities ruled by the rap business is ruled by outside forces from the hip hop culture. Okay, this might have started when Def Jam started by Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin was a punk rock music producer, and Def Jam was originally founded as a punk rock label until Russell Simmons joined it, and then it became a hip hop label. Okay, but when other companies saw other guys who went to college and got MBAs and were from all over the world saw these two guys turn around and make all this money in '84 forward in hip hop culture, then the rap music industry began to then make an assault on cities like LA, DC, Baltimore, Detroit, Houston, Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, New York, New Orleans, Philly, Memphis. They go into these hoods. They look for men who have no options. Young men and women who have no options, who are on the street. They may have dropped out of school. They may be in the drug game. They may be in the prostitution game. And they try them. You don't think if they try a guy like Terry Crews, they ain't gonna try these young boys and girls? They try them. They dangle trinkets in front of them. They take the same kind of lust that the Chinese food restaurant has, the sneaker store has, the jewelry store has, and all of these different entities that are in our hoods nationwide, and offer them a 200 pass go. But these young artists are seeing 200 and they're seeing millions, maybe $200 a day, and they're seeing millions a week. So when you have these big record industry companies like Columbia Records run by Rob Stringer, also running Sony Music. Interscope Records run by John Janet. Warner Brothers Music run by Stephen Cooper. Google and YouTube is run by Lior Cohen. These people do not look like us. They do not have our best interests in mind, in their heart. These people are highly educated individuals from outside of our culture, from outside of our communities. And all they are looking for is a golden goose. And if it means that they can fulfill a narrative and sell it to the rest of the world in order to keep that narrative of drugs, violence, wanton sexuality, and so forth, if they can keep that narrative going and they can make a buck off of it, then it will keep going. And it's not by accident that Drake is the #1 rapper worldwide. And it's not by accident. And I'm going to land my plane there.
Thank you, Dwayne. So, guys, I just want to say, I think ultimately where we can start, and Daphne, if you could, I'm getting some feedback from your mic. I'm sorry, babe. Thank you. So, like, if we could, I think the only thing that we can really do in this moment is to begin, making better decisions about, supporting with our energy music that is not, conducive to the highest good of the community. And I'll tell you that that's where it just starts. That's the very basic, the very minimum. So, like, and then begin supporting even rappers or, hip hop. You could support it, I'm saying, to just make sure that it's something that like aligns to what it is that you want to see in the world. Because I strongly believe that wherever our money flows, energy flows, it's going to amplify it. And I think that there are a lot of great points made tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you. And we'll continue discussions around this. Don't forget that tomorrow we got another room. It's going to be in the Million Marathon. Please RSVP that right now. It's pinned up top. That way we can continue this conversation and go from there. And with that being said, follow the club. If you haven't followed Debate the News, hit the little greenhouse up top, drop the club a follow, and follow Jonathan Bain. This is his club in his room. Thank you for the space, Jonathan. Make sure you follow Nelson, Eric, Daphne. There's Dr. Julio. You're back. I was calling for you. Did you want to chime in before we close down, Dr. Julio? Maybe he's not by the phone. But, and we will catch y'all tomorrow in the Million Marathon. So with that being said, I'm wishing you all a wonderful evening. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate being here.
Of course, love. Likewise. Thank you for coming. All right, guys, closing down in 3, 2, 1.
Thanks,
Have a
Mace.
good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.
Bye-bye.